It's finally here! Roblox Doors Floor 2 just dropped on August 30th, and of course, we're going to be diving into this update and try to uncover everything as a part of an ultimate guide. So make sure you smack that like and subscribe, and let's get going. But in order to play Doors Floor 2, we do have to get access to this little button on the bottom right corner. And you're going to have to create a new elevator called the Mines in order to get in. Please do note you do have to have the rock bottom achievement in order to spawn in this Doors Floor 2 elevator. So right within the menu, we do have a couple new items to showcase. For 250 knobs, you can get the Bulklight, the Straplight for 100 knobs, and also a bandage pack, health on the go, for 100 knobs. The shoulder flashlight is great because you can use other items while having it equipped, and as for the big flashlight, it's more powerful than the regular one and has a beefier battery too. So once you get out of the elevator, you will notice this generator sparkling in a blue hue, which is the guideline telling you that you have to find a couple of missing nodes. The missing node is right over here on the table, and you just bring it right over to the generator. And with 3 missing nodes filled up to the generator, you'll be able to power up the generator as well. Over here you can also find the rift, so if you do need to cop an item, you can do so. Over here you can also find the glow stick item. The glow stick item is really useful, especially for lighting up rooms when you don't have any more lighters or flashlights. More on that item later. And once you have the generator running, you can press E here in order to open up the gate. This is going to be the room that we found during one of the sneak peek videos. You'll be able to control this minecart, and you have 2 ways to be able to direct it. If you do push this minecart to the left side of the room, it's just going to fall down into the abyss. So you're going to have to change direction to the right, so you can push the minecart through the barricaded door, and this will in turn lead you to the next room. Throughout the mines, you will run into this entity called Giggles, and they will periodically laugh announcing their presence. There are a couple ways to get past these entities, one of which simply avoid going under them, or you can also throw a light stick at them to temporarily stun them, or you can also end up using a flashlight. You can see that there's another Giggle hiding on the roof here, you just gotta stay clear from him. Rush just appear as normal. You'll hear a rumble through the mines before you start hearing the usual sounds. Another entity you will run into quite a bit is the new Gloombats entity, and these buggers like to attack players who use light sources. Also, if you do use a glow stick, they will destroy them and any light sources in the area. You'll also notice their eggs on the ground as well. The gray ones you can stand on, but the glowing ones you have to be careful as you can hatch more Gloombats in your direction. In order to get past them, don't equip any light sources until the coast is clear. And now we do also have our first encounter with Eyes as well. Except this Eyes is different because he can teleport around the room, so it makes him a little bit more difficult. As another brand new room, you will encounter gas rooms with a flammable sign on the door. You cannot use lighters or anything that could cause a spark in these areas, or else you will explode and game over. You also have to get through the room fast, or else you will run out of breath and once again, game over. Once you get between doors 110 and 120, you will run into the figure in a 2-story room. Though don't worry, he will not be able to chase you down yet. It looks like right over here we run into our first altercation with Halt, and we do have to run back and forth just like in Door Floor 1. It definitely makes it more difficult to deal with Halt, especially since now we have to deal with obstacles in the way. You'll also have a really low chance of running into ambush as well, and this one's worse because you can come back and forth as many times as you want, and you can't hide at the same locker due to hide physically blocking you out, so you'll have to switch lockers in order to avoid him. Eventually around door 120 you will run into figure a second time, and you have to crouch or else he will come up and get you. Just keep in mind his new AI walking path allows him to cling to the sides of the room as well, so just crouch walk around him and get to the next door. At some point you may be lucky enough to run into a hole that leads into a rainy flower room. Inside the cabinet you can find Shears, which is another new item. the shears can actually be used to cut up vines that may entangle treasure chests containing some seriously helpful items such as the big flashlight and laser pen. Now with the laser pointer being introduced, you can use this on certain entities such as Giggles in order to temporarily blind them. Eventually around door 130 to 140, you will run into the figure again, but this time the difficulty has been ramped up. You'll have to find a couple missing fuses in order to power the generator hiding inside a hole in the wall. Again, just crouch walk like we've talked about, and it shouldn't be much of a problem. Continuing on, you may start to notice more complex minecart rooms with multiple switches. These types of rooms may change depending on their layout, and you'll have to push the cart around to bust out any blocked doors. You'll also want to be careful of the snare entity as well, as they tend to show up in these rooms a lot. Snare, unlike in floor 1 showing up near the end of the game, can show up pretty much at any time, so make sure you keep an eye below for snare and also on the roof for Giggles. But as you progress to around door 140-30, you'll start to notice some strange things, such as Seek eyes on the wall. The Seek chase sequence is about to happen, but this time in the mines. The chase sequence gets more difficult as you now have to time your jumps in order to cross broken bridges. Jump too early and you fall down. Crouch and jump your way to safety until this cutscene happens. At this point, you'll fall into a minecart and you'll have to crouch again to duck under obstacles. You can also press W and S in order to slide the cart left or right, and pay attention to the guiding light in order to choose the right trail, or else you could get another game over. If you're able to successfully beat Seek, you'll be introduced to another major entity known as Grumble, and they are a bigger version of Giggles. You must run forward and hit the red switch in order to close the metal door to start door 150. You will then have to activate a series of switches in the sequence of A, B, C, and D. Head over to the red button to gain a code and use your hearing and visual sense to find a green blinking light that will lead you to the switch. If you do wear headphones, it will make it a lot more easier to hear where the switches are. Do the switch code, then return back to the master computer for the next switch. You'll have to be careful for Grumble as you progress through for the later switches. Do not get too close to them or else they will get you. You can also use the glow stick in order to distract them to find a possible opening. For some switchers later on, there may even be a sticky note with a math option for them. For example, if it says +2, then we'll have to do some reverse math in order to type in the correct code. Once done, we turn back for the next switch code, and rinse and repeat. It does get even more difficult as more Grumbles tend to show up, but once you have all the switches accounted for, the power bridge will then fall down, and the player will now have to escape Grumble during a short chase sequence, climbing down to a sewer. That wasn't so bad, was it? Well, stay tuned for part 2 as things do get much worse.